YouTube. What do you do? It's your boy Dez A1. Please say the A1 coming at you from the Big Dub Network, where we strive for the W's and learn from our L's. Today was a beautiful day. Today was the beginning of a hashtag bright future for the Washington Commanders franchise. First and foremost, thank you, Ron Rivera, for everything you did for us over these last 4 years. It has been riddled with mediocrity, but there has been some ups, there has been some downs. I just appreciate everything you did for the franchise. And with that being said, we moving on, man. He's moving on. We're moving on. Josh Harris is here to play the game for real. Josh Harris is no joke. Right now, this man was super prepared for what's about to happen. And what's about to happen is a lot of turnover, a lot of change in the franchise. And it seems as if Josh Harris came prepared. He's went out and got consultants. We're already requesting interviews for GMs, for head coaches. It's like this offseason belongs to Washington, no questions asked. I know it's only the offseason, and what about the regular season? The regular season matters most. Oh, we're going to get there. But right now, the offseason belongs to the Washington Commanders, and anybody that says anything different is just talking that nonsense. I got co-workers today talking about some, and they Cowboys fans. They talking about some, who y'all play this weekend? I said, we ain't playing nobody but the GM market and the head coach market. Our GM gonna be better than y'all's when the season start. Our head coach gonna be better than y'all's when the season start. Our quarterback gonna be a rookie, but he gonna end up being better than y'all's when the season start. So, I'm catching some heat right now. Being a Washington fan, it's like we always catching heat, honestly, just waiting for the other team to lose. So we say, ha, y'all lost. But it's about to be different around here, man. Hashtag bright future. The campaign is starting now. I'm not saying we're going to the Super Bowl next year, but what I am saying is we rebuilding this thing from the ground up. We doing it the right way. We about to look like a regular organization. We about to look like an organization that's being ran in the correct type of manner. We about to look like an organization that's stable. We about to look like an organization that thinks past what's in front of us. An organization that thinks and considers consequences for certain actions. We're just going to look like a normal, regular organization. And what more can you ask for when we've been, I don't even know the term that I want to use right now. The future, we've just been, I don't want to say we've been trash, but we've been trash, man. We've been close to trash. We've been close to dumpster juice. We've been the laughing stock for a long time. But I see a bright future ahead of us. And today, the most important things we did today, I feel as if it's two important things I think we did today. You should know Josh Harris getting some consultants, some big names to work with him on turning this thing around. I appreciate Josh Harris realizing, maybe I can't do this by myself. Maybe I'm not really a football guy. Maybe I'm not really a front office type of guy. So who can I go out here and help me get the guys, the right people put in place? Who can help me go find a good modern mindset, a good leader, someone that can instill some new culture into the organization? Because everything right now is about to be new. these new GMs, these new head coaching candidates are looking at Washington as a new shiny toy. We're the number one destination this offseason. It's arguable that, you know, in these last few off seasons, this off season for us would be considered the number one destination. This is where you want to be. This is where you can come prove yourself as an assistant GM somewhere else in another organization. You can come prove yourself here. Everything is at your disposal. Draft capital is at your disposal. Free agency money is at your disposal. A new ownership is at your disposal. You're gonna have time to curate a plan and execute it. And I'm not saying that this is gonna happen with this first group that comes in here, but I do have extreme confidence that this first group that is hired to take over this organization, this first group that is hired to run this organization from top to bottom after Josh Harris and that group, then, you know, great things are ahead of us. I think we have the ability to turn this round immediately. If we don't, I'm not gonna be like burn the house down and start all over. No, but I just feel like with Josh Harris having the consulting people in front of him, with Josh Harris being open to new ideas, these analytics that they're gonna move to, you know, I want to get out ahead of the curve. I want people to say, let's do it like Washington did it. What are the chances of some other organizations, even if it's one organization, and that might end up being the Panthers after they burn the house down? They're going to just say, let's start over. Tepper's going to call Josh Harris. He's going to ask for his connections. Can I call this guy? Can I hire this guy as to consult with to do it like Washington did it? Let's do it like Washington did it. And the thought of that shows that we could do something correctly. It just seemed as if everything we did in the past, maybe it turned out good, but it started with bad intentions. It started off some type of negativity or some type of bias or something like that. But it just seems like we're doing things the right way right now. And what more could you ask for as an organization, as a Washington fan? How often can we look at something and say, that looks right and that feels right? It might turn out to be right for us, but in the past, we necessarily couldn't say it looks right and feels right. Man, we have options in front of us that we couldn't even fathom before. We have guys that aren't the guys at these top-notch organizations, but they're the guys in those guys' ears. So technically, they may be the guys making the big decisions. It just doesn't come out of their mouth in front of the whole group. But we have guys from the organizations that are successful, that are improving year in, year out, that are competing year in, year out. Guys from organizations that are improving, as far as like the Chicago Bears organization. That organization has made it so that they can put themselves in a position to get the first draft pick, number one overall draft pick 2 years in a row. 1 year they traded, the next year they may trade it again this year. So it's up and coming organizations, proven organizations, just guys in these buildings that are making some of these tough decisions that are seen to just be working out. Why can't that happen in Washington? And I foresee it happening in Washington, and it's going to happen right now. This offseason, Washington is on to bigger and better things, man. it's hard to think, but and I'm not thinking with my brain. I'm thinking with my heart right now. But as I see this play out in front of me, I think to myself, damn, it almost doesn't even feel right. You know, in a normal Washington situation, you know, we'll fire a head coach. Another head coach will come in, they make their demands on how things are gonna be. Their whole friend group is in, their former players are here. That's how this offseason would look. And it quite frankly could turn out to be the same exact thing. It just doesn't feel like that. It just doesn't feel like it's felt in the past. It's a bright future ahead of us here in Washington, man. And it's so hard to think differently. It's so hard right now to think differently. Like, if you want to be the guy in the organization, if you want to be the GM, you're going to want to come to Washington. If you're going to want to be the president of football operations, you want to come to Washington. If you want to be the next great head coach, where you want to go? Washington. If you want to make a stamp on your legacy, you're going to want to come to Washington right now. And it's no questions asked. It's no other place you should want to go. If a GM candidate comes into Washington for an interview and they say, "What can you do for me that Carolina couldn't?" That question is not, you can't even ask that question, because the ownership group is just going to ask you, what can you do for us that any other candidate can't do? Because Carolina's out of the question. We're going to show you year in, year out. There's proof in the pudding that other organizations right now that are open to be head coached or need a new general manager or a new president, there's proof that, you know, that isn't where you want to be. You want to take over what's here in Washington. You want to run what's here in Washington. You want to coach what's here in Washington. And don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying, you know, we're going to turn this around immediately. But what I am saying, we have the ability to do so. We have the means to do so. We have the draft capital to do so. We have the free agency cap space to do so. And, you know, as many telltale signs that this is going to be a great turnout for us. With the cap space that we had, a great GM come in and say, this isn't the free agency class that we want to spend all this money on. I've already done research on the next possible free agency class, and that's the one you want to spend the money on. It's some people, there's a GM that might come into the interview stating, you know, this is what's here in this draft for this particular position. This is the one we can attack right now and improve right now at this position. But I've already looked into the draft class for next year, and this is when we attack this position. Regardless of the outcome for this season, this is when we attack this position. So there's going to be a GM that shows the ownership group, obviously, that they're the one for the job. It may be multiple GMs that show that they're the one for the job. But I feel like one may separate themselves from the other and take over this organization. Because, like I said, what other organization right now could you take over and make an immediate turnaround? I'm waiting. I don't know. I can't think of another one, especially with like all the openings. Some would say, oh well, the Chargers have a franchise quarterback, so how's that worked out for them? So, well, the Panthers have the number 1 pick for last year, so they have a first round draft pick this year. Not that a first round draft pick is the end all be all, but you know, that's what that cost for a first round draft pick or the first overall pick. And we very likely could be in that same situation next year where we gave up our first overall pick to move up to 1, but that's not this year. And I feel confident saying if the guys that's at 1 this year was at 1 last year, he'd be playing on the Panthers. That's just how I feel. Washington franchise is in a whole different place. The Washington franchise is in a completely different place. We're going to put the league on notice. The way that Harris is going to make things happen over this offseason is going to put the other owners on notice. It's going to make some owners take a step back and look at themselves in the mirror. Like, why am I really here? Am I here to make these decisions to say, I did this, I did that, I brought that guy in, I did this myself, I didn't bring a guy in for that position? Or are they going to sit back and realize, no, that's not why I'm here for? I potentially could make some of these big decisions, but let me bring some outside minds and some outside decision makers to give me some ideas on a better way we can do things. And that's what we're going to do this offseason. That's what Josh Harris has already done. We've requested to speak to all the great candidates. I don't know if we've talked to him yet. We can't officially talk to him in person, but some of these guys that are like anybody that's associated with the Bears that we're interested in, we can probably talk with them. Anybody interested in any other team that's not in the playoffs, we can probably go ahead and talk to them. But as far as the highly sought after candidates for this specific offseason, we've reached out. What more can you ask for? We've reached out. I don't guarantee they answered that call, because we're not that old Washington franchise where you say, ew, I don't want to be a no. This is where you're gonna come to make your name. This is where you're gonna come to make a statement in the league. This is where you're gonna come to earn your stripes. You may just move on when you realize I've conquered Washington. But if you conquer Washington, you've conquered more than you probably can conquer around the league, unless you go to Carolina eventually. And my bad for beating up on Carolina, but it is what it is. Unless you leave us and go to Carolina and rebuild them, if you conquer Washington, you'll probably be on the Mount Rushmore along with Josh Harris. It's just that simple. It shows how low we were and how high we could potentially be. This is where you want to be if you want to make a name for yourself. If you feel like I've made all those decisions in that location, let me go make those decisions in Washington, because I know I could do it. I could do it again. I did it there. I can do it again. Decisions to be made in Washington. That series has begun. GMs up first. We're talking GMs. Next up, we're talking head coaches. And after that, man, we're just going on and on, man. There's some decisions to be made. And also, I'll talk to the fans as well. There's some decisions for the fans to be made as well, because you're going to have to sit back and let this play out. There's no reason for anyone to not trust this new group that comes in. I told myself it's Caleb or nothing. I can't really think like that. What if this new group doesn't want Caleb? I would have to be fine with that. And I would 100% be cool with that, because this new group that comes in, they won't make a better decision than their initial decisions. If you turn down, just a hypothetical, if they turn down Caleb Williams, they say, Bears took Marvin Harrison, Washington's on the clock, Washington takes Drake May or Jalen Daniels. I can't second guess that. But the fans will. So I challenge the fans too to, sit back and let this play out, because this is something you guys have never seen. This is something I've never seen. This is a way that it has never been done in Washington. Let it play out. Let it play out how it's going to play out. I have faith in this next group of guys or ladies that comes in here and runs this organization. Runs it all the way to the mountaintop. Because if you earn your stripes here, I won't change how I think about this. If you earn your stripes here, you can't do any better anywhere else. Trust me, I've seen it. We've seen the lowest of the lows. The highs of the highs are only written in the history books for some of us. I've been a fan all my life, short 34 years, but I have never seen a lot of highs in this organization, but they're coming. I have faith they're coming, and they're coming soon, sooner than I could have ever thought. So, decisions to be made. Get the GM in the building. Let the GM make those same decisions that they've made for other organizations as an assistant. Let them make them from us as the top dog. It's the guy steering the ship, and we're gonna follow. I am Dez of the Big Dub Network. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that funny stuff out. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the draft. And I might not get there, or I might not, or I might not. But anyway, we're striving for greatness, man. We're striving for the W's, and we learning from the L's, man. At the Big Dub Network. Until next time, peace.